You're watching The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales, streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
So, because I forgot to have the other shows mentioned it today, we have a new show starting tonight at 9:30. It's called Country Roads Country Roads Comics. That'll be super fun. And we're making new commercials for here on The Experience, and I'm having to find stock footage. It's ridiculously hard to find stock footage of the things I think it'd be easy to find stock footage of. I don't know how, like, these commercials for these drugs whose name you can't pronounce do it. Like, you need stock footage of old people in bathtubs on a mountain. Like, they're not paying to fly old people to a mountain to climb into a bathtub to shoot 6 seconds of their commercial. Where are they finding this footage? This is in stores this week, where we talk about new books that are in stores this week. I didn't read any of the books because I've been trying to find stock footage of old people in bathtubs on mountains. Turns out all the drug companies have it already. What's up?
Old people in bathtubs is actually a specific fetish called chair-tubbing.
God,
You need to
So
look that up. And
I've been watching a lot of late night television because, like, I've been working, I've been getting up later in the day, coming in and doing the shows, and then working on the other stuff after. So, like, I've been working till 4 or 5 in the morning. And what's interesting to me is the television commercials late at night, how much more distressing the side effects to the drugs are after midnight. Like, sure, there's a lot of Mike Lindell. There's a lot of the MyPillow guy trying to sell you sheets because everybody knows his pillows suck. But, like, there's also a lot of the side effects of this drug are you're going to die.
Yeah.
And that's really the only side effect they list. And it's like, it's because they know the only people who are awake at that hour are old people who are already thinking they're going to die. So
There is a commercial on CNN that runs late at night. And it's basically for a guy doing part of what we do here. It's called JB's Fantastic Buys. And it's a guy who sells like secondhand jewelry and odd things like that through Facebook auctions. But he can afford a frickin' CNN ad in the middle of the night. And all I kept thinking is, how has Nick not done that? Why don't we see Nick on CNN in the middle of the night going, you all love comic books. Why aren't you buying from me? This is the Original Art Show, or, comic collectibles. Or
So can I tell you, I actually know the answer to that question.
Yeah.
How that guy gets it. He actually buys it through your local cable provider.
Oh, okay.
So whoever your channel is CNN can't sell all of their time at night.
Right.
It's the same way that the MyPillow guy buys his advertising. He doesn't buy from the network. He buys from your local affiliate at a much cheaper rate, and then they fill the time that's left over. So that's how syndication works, and it happens it's a whole thing. My friend Byron is a master of it. And yeah. So, needless to say, I've spent a lot of time thinking about commercials.
Jared Tubin, look it up.
Not gonna do that.
Ever. Don't do that, chat. Don't do that.
No, but like, you guys know the commercial I'm talking about, right? Like, it's for some drug, and it's just old people in bathtubs.
It's Cialis.
Is it?
It's always Cialis. The old people in the bathtub is Cialis.
Okay. I couldn't remember. Maybe I've been blocking that out as a form of self-preservation. But
And I got a comic related thing to talk about real fast before we get started.
On this show?
Yeah. So Dan had Kevin Van Hook on his show last week.
Yes.
Now, did he say that he wrote Bloodshot #0, the chromium cover one?
Yeah.
Okay, I took me a second to realize I actually have that comic. And when JDF, rest his soul, was here at Space Cadets, because he played Bloodshot in that Ninjak versus the Valiant universe,
Mm-hmm.
I got him to sign it.
Very cool.
And having Kevin on the show reminded me that I actually have that comic.
well, now you got to get Kevin to sign it and get it
That'd be
graded
awesome,
and hang it on the wall and
Wow, that
all that kind of
reminds me.
stuff.
That means I have a JDF signature that I forgot about. I went to the set where they filmed Ninjak versus the Valiant Universe and interviewed JDF and interviewed Mike Rowe. And they gave us a trade paperback of Ninjak, and everybody there signed it. So JDF signed it, Mike signed it, Dinesh, all those guys.
That's
I have to point out, Dan, you shared that picture from that day.
Uh-huh.
Do you remember? You know who else is in that photo with you?
Mike Prepos?
David
David Prepos.
Pepos, yes.
Prepos,
Who
yeah.
now you know as the guy who's writing like Secret Avengers and stuff.
Uh-huh.
So, Dan gets to hang out with us, and David Pepos is writing Secret Avengers. I think Dan won.
Yeah.
I suppose it's time we should make our other announcement.
Yeah, I'm gonna head over here and do some seppuku. You go right ahead.
This show is moving. It will be at a new time starting next week. That new time, 6:00 Eastern, immediately following the Dan Wickline show. 3:00 Pacific time. 5:00 if you're where Jay is, and 4:00 if you're in the states not called Arizona that occupy Mountain Time. Yes, it'll be a double dose of Dan. We'll go right out of the Dan Wickline show and into this show. We are making room for another new show that will be joining us on Tuesdays. That would like to be a little later in the evening, and we would like to be a little earlier in the day, because then maybe I won't forget everything I read. I don't think the odds are good that I won't forget everything I read, but it's possible.
Yeah, and I instead of taking a nap between shows, I could just do the two shows and then go to bed.
Yes,
because I'm old.
So like I said, we have a new show debuting tonight at 9:30. Country Roads Comics, and then hopefully a new show debuting next Tuesday in this time slot. And we will be moving up. So I know none of you are going to remember this. I hope Dan at least does, because he does our social media, and somebody's going to have to remind you all.
Mm-hmm.
So
Dan actually talked about Country Road Comics and the move during his show today too.
Yay! So, well, we got to make the announcement on this show because
youth deprived.
All right, so let's get started with the books.
I'll be on the mountain in my bathtub.
Crap! I thought I got my spacings fixed this week. Still not quite right. All right, first book up that I didn't read.
So what order did you choose to put these in?
I literally just copied and pasted off the list you sent us.
Oh, okay. So they're in order of how they arrived to my mailbox.
All right. Hey, that's as good an order as any.
All right. Star Trek #2 from IDW. This is the series that kind of pulls together all the different versions of Star Trek into one. This is Benjamin Sisko. It's Data. It's Beverly Crusher. It's Tom Paris.
Scotty.
Yes. Worf pops up in this one. And there's a heavy dose of Klingon history in this. And it's funny. I finished this book thinking, I'm really digging this. I got to the end of it. I'm like, okay, I'm good with this. This is good. And yeah, I love the fact it's got all these different, all the different shows that were on around the same time. That's the key, is it doesn't tap into Enterprise. It doesn't tap into the newer stuff, but the shows that all came out around that same era. So it is, and it's tapping into when Cisco was the emissary, which I think a lot of people forgot about. I know I did. But it's just a lot of fun, and like I said, it's tapping into a lot of the Klingon history in this one with Kalis, the Unbreakable, or something or other. But this is really cool. It's really a fun book for anybody who grew up and got into Star Trek around Next Generation and DS9 and Voyager. So
I'm going to use an analogy that I use for sports.
You going to say it's not that bad?
Nope. Though it's not that bad. I don't like watching sports, but I definitely liked playing sports when I was younger. I like watching Star Trek, but I'm not 100% on the comics. And no, it wasn't that this was bad or anything, but I might have liked this more if this was just a straight up novel instead of a comic book. I don't know why. I don't know. There's something about the comics. They just don't do it for me. And the last one, the one that y'all read a while back was Sean. Sean said it felt like an episode.
Mm-hmm.
And while I agree, I was just like, I like Star Trek. I have no idea why I can't get into the comics though, but I just don't. I just can't. Not terrible though. If you're a Star Trek fan, you should pick it up.
Hey, that's as good as it's not bad.
There you go.
I want Cisco from Star Trek to cross over with Cisco from The Flash in San Francisco.
And Cisco from the Thong Song.
And run into the Cisco Kid while trying to catch Cisco from the Thong Song to prevent him from having made that song.
This is the color commentary he gets paid well for, by the way.
Yeah. All right. Godzilla rivals versus the Gigan.
There's no the.
Yeah, but I always heard there was a the.
Just like Gigan.
Right. No, I always heard it was the Gigan, like when you're talking about him in opposition to a thing. That it wasn't like a proper name. It was a name of the creation.
I don't.
Does the book deal with it?
No, but
damn.
Just Gigan doesn't need a qualifier.
It's like people who say the Ukraine.
This felt very funny to me. A lot of great action between Godzilla and Gigan. And then they try to sandwich in this whole human thing. And this has been my big problem with Godzilla, is that they feel it necessary to have humans in it. And I am better off without the humans in it. And it's like they literally tried to sandwich, and they tried to give like backstory to the humans and emotions. And it's like, I'm not here for your silly humans. I'm here for kaiju. I'm here for giant monster versus giant monster slugfest. It's like going to a wrestling match and hearing all the characters' backstory and how they had a bad day. Don't want that. Want people throwing each other around. And I don't even like wrestling. But I want kaiju versus kaiju. And they do. They try to sandwich in this whole emotional backstory between two siblings. And yeah. It was unnecessary. And And suddenly this girl seems to be the world's greatest hacker, and her brother. I just don't see why. Nobody cares about the humans. Yeah, John's right. Nobody cares about the humans. Just, dear IDW, just give us kaiju.
Yes.
We don't need words.
Nope.
You can do an entire book of kaiju versus kaiju. Put them all in one. Make it the end game of kaiju. You could have big spinning circles with new ones hopping out. It's Gigan. It's Ghidorah. I mean, just have them jump King Ghidorah. Just have them come. Just stop with the humans. We don't need them.
Yeah.
Ironically, that's how I feel about existence.
And he means human existence.
I mean about my own existence.
Yeah. So
I really love working in a windowless room where I never see other people.
that's called a cell.
Yeah.
Well,
It's called a studio when they give you a computer and a camera.
Jay?
So I'm with Dan on this. I wasn't a fan. The story kind of feels all over the place. The only good panels are the ones with Godzilla and Gigan. Is that what it's? Okay. Them fighting. I did not care one bit for the brother and sister. I mean, even for a comic, some of the story just didn't make sense. There's just too much human drama, not enough monster action. And the main villains of this book were like roaches or something, who thought human were scum ruining the earth.
Well, that part we agree
That
on.
part's true.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's just, I don't know. The Godzilla book so far, like 0, 0, and 2 for me. I need more monster fighting, less dudes playing a video game, and somehow that's connected. It was weird. It was a weird book.
More human, or more monster, less humans.
Yes.
I think that's just a general rule of thumb for everyone forever.
And you think they would figure it out by now?
Grim Fairy Tales number 66.
Look, we get it. We know you guys really want to do Lovecraft. I don't know why. I blame David Wohl. But Nyarlathotep is now a woman in a tiny bikini. And the artwork doesn't seem like Zenoscope artwork. I don't have a lot to say about this one. I mean, the story, they're moving the story along. We're moving the story along. We have Nyarlathotep versus somebody else.
So,
It doesn't feel like there's necessarily a bad guy, but opposing forces. And Sela and the blonde girl are in between. Sam, is it Sam?
yes.
Yeah, are stuck in between. The Three Musketeers don't seem to be there for any particular reason. And everybody's complaining in the story. So I feel it's okay that I can complain about the book because I'm just following the lead of the characters. Yeah. I don't know where they're going with this. It doesn't feel like Zenoscope. The art doesn't feel like Zenoscope. So I don't know what the story arc is, but I hope it's over soon. Jay?
Yes. There's sometimes I wonder if it's because we read these digitally that the art looks so bad and jarring. Like I haven't actually looked at a real Zenoscope book in a long time. And I hate being negative, but it's like these stories are just phoned in. And I'm gonna beat a dead horse with it like I usually do, but All Guts, No Glory was great. Man, Goat, and Bunny Man is great. The Conspiracy series from Zenoscope is great. I don't know what they're trying to do with these stories, but it's just, I don't know. Like you have weird predaliens at the beginning, and then you have the weird were-apes, and then a giant rat. Like just throw whatever monsters you can in this book and whatever characters. They don't even have to have lines. just so you can point them out and be like, oh, look, it's the Musketeers. Well, what are they there for still? They didn't even have lines, I think, unless it was just them complaining about something. Like, what was their purpose? Like, and the baddie that they showed, even by my standards, easily forgettable. I already forgot her name until you said it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I only remember it because my ex-wife was a huge fan of Lovecraft, and all the creatures and all the characters in this are from H.P. Lovecraft. So I remember Narlotiotep because, there was a cool character from H.P. Lovecraft, or a cool elder god.
Wow.
The fact that they're, borrowing all of that for this, it just doesn't fit. You have these characters who, crack wise all the time, and and they put them on solo adventures, so they're not working off of each other, and they're going up against these gods that are way out of their league. I don't know what they're doing.
Maybe neither do they.
Yeah.
Which could be a thing. And it's this is, I see what Ed is saying, and while I want to ban him for his profile picture, I won't. The thing about Zenescope is that, and Dan, you can maybe speak to this from your time there. The covers are designed to draw you in, and then ideally the writing and the art on the inside should be what keeps you coming back. More recently than not, it's been our experience that that's not been the case, which, for my money, it's a factor of the way they're trying to do business right now. One shot after one shot after one shot after one shot, even though they're not one shots, but they don't want to call anything an ongoing.
Well, this is the ongoing.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Means that when you do have an ongoing, the people you're working with are used to this other thing.
See, when I was there, Grimm was one shot, was these individual stories that were based on the Grimm fairy tales. They were these great little horror stories. Then they decided to make these characters kind of superheroes. And that was the direction they went. They went that way for a long time. And now it feels like they want to go back to horror, but with the superhero characters. And it's not really meshing up that well. And they're, like I said, they're tapping into Lovecraft because Lovecraft is a very popular horror universe that's in the public domain. You can borrow from it all you want. So they're doing this, but it's just, I don't feel that their characters and what their fans are expecting is meshing well with this new direction. And it does seem to coincide with the hiring of David Wool as the editor-in-chief over there. Now, I like David. David's a good guy. I've dealt, I've interacted with him at a few places. He's a talented writer, but it just, again, I don't think it's a good merger with. I don't think Lovecraft and the Zenescope books are a good merger.
That's true. All right. John is excited for the next book.
Me too.
I saw the cover and was immediately unexcited for this book. So tell me about, why do we need to see everyone's package? And
stylistic choice.
Right. And why are they so shiny?
Okay. You know how you like when we drop an Archie book?
Yes.
Into the list. This is the palette cleanser. Now, this particular cover, but that's what this book is. This is old school, golden age style writing and art. It's a fun little one shot. I enjoyed it. I don't know much about the character, but this is a public domain character as well. They use them in the Project Superpowers occasionally. He's from that era. And it's just, it doesn't make a lot of logical sense. It's golden age comics. It's like he's got the power of a cat, but he's got a sidekick who seems to have the same powers. And they address that in the comic. Somebody goes, well, why does she have the same powers? Oh, she's not. She just an acrobat. You know, and they have a reporter follow them around with those old school cameras where you have to screw in the bulb each time. Yeah. So there's a silliness to it, but it's a fun silliness. And it actually touches into some of the Aztec gods, which is great, having just had Black Panther Wakanda Forever come out. There's some tie into that as well. So it's just a silly, fun story that I really enjoyed.
JD, it is like a 38 pack, much like my own.
Yeah. You know that Pabst Blue Ribbon 99 beer pack?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Remember to hit like and subscribe.
If you're into 38 packs, yes.
And become a member of our group here.
Yeah.
Yes. John, I really enjoyed this. It was campy. The dialogue was great. There's a lot of funny one-liners in it. It feels like a spoof or a parody, but it's not overly absurd, just a little absurd in some parts. If you're just looking for a fun adventure comic that's in the vein of Batman 66, like the show, this comic would be right up your alley. This is only supposed to be a one shot because I really want more of this.
Yeah, it's just a one shot.
Man.
But we do have a way to talk to the guy that publishes it.
Yeah, more of this, please.
I will say this. I judge this book based on its cover, which is to say, if you show me this cover, I'm going to show you a book I won't buy. If you had shown me the B cover, I'd been like, yeah, okay. The B cover is really a cool cover in that it's got more of that, what I would expect from a Golden Age book sort of look. I'm stalling while I bring it up here. But it's that to me is more appealing as it tells me this is a campy book than.
Okay, well,
we've lost Kyle. So we're going to paint his face on the back of a milk carton, and there's Kyle.
There he goes.
Then the other cover. Let's see if
Kyle's been a little shaky since the Ohio State game.
You know that what that other cover reminds me of is that the art style on the Siren's Gate a little bit.
No, that's a yeah.
Siren's Gate is AI. This is just hyper realistic.
Yeah.
And like I said, to me, the hyper realistic means they're taking it seriously. Whereas the kind of sketchy, cartoony cover that looks vaguely like the ambiguously gay duo from SNL makes me go, oh, this is campy. Okay, I can get behind that.
See, now I look at this cover and I see the fact he's got the hand on the shoulder and they're both like this, with the hands on the hips. And the fact that he's wearing shorts tells me it's campy.
Well, they're underwear on the outside superheroes.
No. It's not underwear on the outside because they have no pants.
Her shorts are longer than his.
They are.
That's why I had questions about the needing to see people's packages. All right. Speaking of people who show you their package all the time.
I had a Kyle moment with this one. I was starting to read it going, I don't remember which one this is. And then suddenly the young version of Red Sonja showed up with, now I remember. This is Jim Zub doing a D&D book with Red Sonja in it. With this twist that she's basically dealing with a younger version of herself. And it doesn't feel like it's a time travel thing or an alternate reality thing. So I don't know what Jim's doing, but it feels a bit more like a D&D book than it does a Red Sonja book. But there's also some very cold moments in it. Like, hi, come eat with us. Welcome to the fire. Oh, wait, we're all dead. Go ahead and take one of our horses. Have a nice day.
Yeah.
I think I've just told the whole story of the issue, didn't I? Yeah. But I do love that Lucio Perillo cover.
Yeah, that's
especially if you get close up on it. That just the art. Lucio is just killing it. I mean, the guy's amazing. But this is an interesting story. It's a very different Red Sonja than the other ones we get. So, actually, I think that's, yeah. It's a very cool book.
I thought this was a surprisingly good follow-up to the first one. I vaguely remember when we read that first one because it feels like forever ago now.
Yeah.
But I do remember the younger Red Sonja. Of all the Red Sonja books that we've read, even this just being the second issue, this so far is my favorite one. I really like it. I don't know if it's the mystery of who the little girl actually is, if that really is Sonja. How did she come to be? How did any of this happen? And hopefully we'll learn that in the coming issues. They don't drag that out. Hopefully that's kind of a reveal that's going to come soon. And also, since you already said it, I was a bit sad about the mercenaries. There was one of them that I was like, hey, he seems pretty cool. Nope, he's gone. All right. I was kind of hoping we'd get a little more, like the rest of them got killed and he goes with them or something. Nope.
I want to answer JD's question.
Yeah, let's dive into this. Hive Mind, where should I start with Red Sonja?
I've got two suggestions. The first, had you asked last week, I would say go out to Humble Bundle and get that collection because it had two of the things in it, or the two things I'm going to recommend. Number one is there's an omnibus or a complete thing of Gail Simone's Red Sonja with Walter Giovanni. Gail and Walter did an amazing job on Red Sonja. So I do recommend Gail Sonja's run, but there's a collection. You could start with that. You could go with that. More recently, there is, I believe it's Invincible Red Sonja by Jimmy Palmiotti and Amanda Connor and an artist named Moritat. And that by far is the closest to the Conan feel that Red Sonja's has, But I would start with those two. There's some other good places too, but those are the first two that come to mind.
Yeah, my answer was going to be Talking Shirt Red Sonja, which is one I can't remember the name of now. It's something word Red Sonja.
It's not Unbreakable.
That's not
Invincible. It's not Invincible. No, it's Invincible. Immortal Red Sonja is Jimmy and Amanda. Invincible is Talking Red Shirt by Dan Abnett.
You want Talking Shirt Red Sonja? Or my answer is always, and I know that I will say Amy Chu's Red Sonja as well is a great option to start with. If you want Dynamite Red Sonja, if you want Red Sonja, just get the Red Sonja Marvel collection, which is your more traditional Red Sonja.
Art by Frank Thorne.
Yes. Are all the Red Sonjas named after Rihanna songs? No, only Red Sonja Shairani. That's a joke that perhaps no one will get.
No.
It's a sketch that Rihanna did with
Andy Shairani.
Samberg. Yeah.
Okay.
On
Yep,
SNL.
I got you. I remember now. Okay.
Get the complete Gail Simone Red Sonja run, JD.
Yeah, I had forgotten about the Gail Simone run. That's one I need to start recommending.
Yeah.
That's a really good option. All right. 007, James Bond.
Yes.
I'll be honest, of the books this week, this is the one I'm most disappointed about having not gotten to read before you all talk about it.
It's good.
Because
Yeah.
I'm really amped for this continuing story. So
Yeah, we're going to try to do this one as little spoilers as possible because, well, we don't want to spoil the books too much. But this is James continuing on working with Miradum, this group that his former mentor, she's kind of a mentor figure, hooked up with as he's seen the British government working with somebody they shouldn't be working with. This is seeing James going down the dark rabbit hole. But there is a moment at the end of the book that shows you just how clever James is, as he's able to get a message to somebody in kind of a unique way, which I thought was awesome. So this is continuing to be really, really good James Bond book. Philip Kennedy Johnson is doing a great job. Marco Finnegan on art, also really good stuff. I believe Marco is, if you're in Los Angeles, Marco's going to be at the LA Comic-Con this weekend. I know that because he emailed me today going, is Dynamite set up at the LA Comic-Con? So he may not be a booth, but he's probably walking around. This is just a really good book. The cover's kind of boring. But good book.
So this book shows you just how smooth James Bond is. It took me a second to realize it was him at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But when I did, I was like, well, there's the ladies' man part of a James Bond comic. Like what he did at the beginning of that book was so smooth. All in all, it's still a really fun spy adventure. That's a spoiler in my notes, so I won't say that, but I'll agree with Dan that is a very smart thing James Bond did near the end. I thought that was really smart.
Yeah.
It kind of shows that he's still 10 steps ahead of everybody else.
Yep.
But yeah, it's been a great book so far. And like every issue has just been great. So
yeah,
really dug it.
And this feels like the Ian Fleming novels, which is what they're supposed to be based on. They're not necessarily adapting any of the movies. They're, telling stories set in the Ian Fleming novel universe. So, and they do that very well.
All right. So I listened to Shirani, so I didn't hear too much, which is good. All right. Although during the Shirani bits, I could hear everything. All right. Crochet in Hell.
You know what? I started reading this book, and I don't know what's going on. I don't know who Crochet is. I know he's tied to Hellboy. I know he's in hell. But this is a book I was confused. I didn't really get what was going on. And I enjoyed the hell out of it. I don't know how Mike Mignola is finding artists that feel like they're in the Mignola universe. There's no book he's put out lately doesn't feel like it's part of the universe he's created. They all feel like they're part of it. Like I said, don't know this character from Adam, but I enjoyed it. I want to see more of this, and I don't know how it works. How all of these different books that he's doing just keep coming back. Yeah, I'm in. Oh, it's a Hellboy. Okay, I'm in. Yeah, his brother crochet stole the knitting style he invented. So, yeah, I mean, and maybe Dave Stewart has a part of it, but it's like Mignola's ink style on slightly different pencils, but it still works. And again, I'm ready for number 2.
Do you want a quick Crochet deep dive?
Please.
Koshé is often given the epithet immortal or the deathless. Is an archetypal antagonist in Russian folklore. Common feature is that there's a spell which prevents him from being killed. He hides his soul inside nested objects to protect it. For example, the soul, or in the tales usually called death, may be hidden in a needle that is hidden inside an egg. The egg is in a duck. The duck is in a hare. The hare is in the chest. The chest is buried or chained up on a far island. Usually takes on a malevolent rival as his father figure, who he competes or tries to steal that rival's love interest.
Here, his soul is in an egg, which is in a duck, which is in a hare, which is in a goat. And he's looking for the goat, which I assume is Tom Brady.
Yeah. Koshé has also spun off Kochak. And other versions of a similar type being in Russian mythology, immortals, vampires, and things like that.
Okay.
All kind of come from this place, including, if you read American Gods, the kind of Russian, Eastern European gods that were featured in that book.
Yeah, that's what I thought he meant too, Jay, was Kolchak.
No, not Kolchak the Night Stalker. But it's, like I said, there's a million different versions of this spelling. Like EK is the vampire version, things like that. When Mike Mignola started writing the Koshé book, I may have went and bought a book on who he was.
I've just come to the conclusion that I'm a fan of the From the World of Hellboy books. I dug this character, a dude who is deathless, and he was just content sitting in a chair, reading books and drinking wine.
Mm-hmm.
Like these books also do a great job of telling a story without words, because there's a lot of panels that there's no exposition, there's no dialogue, but I can still tell what's going on. Kind of let your brain fill in the gaps. So I would say if you've been a fan of the other, books like this that don't have Hellboy, definitely pick it up, and I'm super excited for the next issue.
I love how all the characters just seem to be like meandering through the world.
Yeah.
Hellboy is like, I'll go take care of this.
Mm-hmm.
OJ's like, oh, I guess I better deal with this. Oh, he left me hell. All right, fine.
Yeah.
Can I just stay and read and have my wine?
Exactly.
Frankenstein, I've just been sitting here for a long ass time.
Yeah.
Don't need to get up. Oh, fine, I'll get up. Fine. This is like they're all dads, They're just doing what they have to do. They'd rather stay home and watch TV. Yeah.
It's true, though. By the way, while you guys were talking about that, I managed to get into a fight with a bottle of Windex.
$1 on the Windex.
I had it here because I cleaned my monitor and my camera and stuff today before the show, and apparently it has sprung a leak.
And the Windex just scored an 85-yard touchdown on Ohio State.
I guess you're on your own, Jay.
Wow.
Hey, Ed's not far. Ed's got the same joke lined up.
Let's see. Where's the ban button? So, okay. You brought it up. You opened the door. I'm going to bring it up. Ohio State falls to number 5 in the playoff rankings. So this is the Ohio State fan in me having this debate. Do you root for TCU or USC to lose and give us a chance to get in and potentially have to lose to Michigan twice in one season, but have a chance at a national title? Or do you root for them to win and just go to the Rose Bowl and be happy?
Go to the Rose Bowl and be happy.
See, the Ohio State fan in me says you want them to lose and make the playoffs because odds are we'll play Georgia first and lose anyway. right? But at least you had a shot at a national title.
Right. But if you go to the Rose Bowl, you have a chance to win the Rose Bowl. And you can say, hey, we won the Rose Bowl this year.
But I also believe that if Ohio State were to make it and then somehow beat Georgia, and it's an Ohio State-Michigan national championship,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we can lose to them twice. I think the team will be prepared for everything.
How'd you guys do last year against them?
Against what?
Against Michigan.
We lost, but again, different team.
So you lost twice.
But not in the same year.
No, but
I'm saying if you play two teams that close together, the institutional memory and the number of the same players.
Go to Rose Bowl, take a Rose Bowl win over. Okay, you're saying you're going to get through Georgia. Georgia's the number one ranked team.
If you somehow manage to get through Georgia, which
so you want to get by the number one ranked team to have a shot at the number 3 ranked team again that's already beaten you once this season. Well, or you can go to the Rose Bowl and more likely get in. So you want to win. You want to take the route that you have to win twice.
Here's the other thing, and this is the real. If we go to the Rose Bowl, CJ Stroud is like most of our good players are done.
Mm-hmm.
So is it better than even chance we go to the Rose Bowl and it's a bunch of guys who haven't seen a whole lot of field time. So now you're going to the Rose Bowl to lose, potentially lose. Whereas if you get a shot for a national championship, those guys are going to keep playing. There's a whole lot of factors here that are very interesting that can only happen because both teams are so good this year. Like, it could only happen in a Georgia versus Auburn situation or at two SEC teams that are already rivals having the shot or two Big Ten teams that are already rivals having the shot. It's just a very interesting time to be a sports fan. Ed, no, because I played sports at a high level and I know that sometimes 17, 18, 19-year-old kids have a bad day and lose on occasion. Right? I also know that if you build your team to do one thing all week and then that thing doesn't happen, you build your whole team all week to stop Blake Corum and then Blake Corum doesn't play, stopping a different guy is difficult. So that's my answer to that question. And JD, I will not say the name of that town.
So, hey, real fast, has anybody ever seen basketball?
Yes. I was watching clips from it last night.
You know when they're explaining how the Dinslow Cup works?
Mm-hmm.
That's all I heard while y'all were talking.
Biaka Batuka.
Gesundheit.
Yamanga Biaka Batuka.
Oh, okay. I'll go first with this one. This book right here. Wow. I'm now on board that the mall is actually narrating this. See, I thought it was going to be like another monster. I think it's the mall that's narrating this. I still like it, though. I think I figured out why I like it after this issue. It gives me a little bit of Hellraiser / Cenobite vibes. And I think that comes from seeing some of the monsters that are in this and some of the body modifications that happen in this one. Again, though, I think this is one of those books also that they need to ramp up to something. Like we get a couple of things in this one, but it just feels like it's almost the first issue, just the monsters show up sooner.
It's not Cinnabites it reminds you of. It's Cinnabuns because it's the mall. And yes, that lipstick is a finger. And I don't know what the hell this book is doing. I get nothing on it. It's just, I don't know what it's trying to do. I don't know the story it's trying to tell. I mean, it's not like we care about any of the characters. At least I don't care about any of the characters. I don't care about them all. I don't see the purpose of the story, what the story they're trying to tell. And maybe they'll show up in issue 3. But at this point, it just seems like we're 2 issues into torturing people. It's torture porn at this point.
To me, it also feels like that the monsters in the mall, maybe, just maybe, they were people beforehand that the same thing that's happened to the characters now happened to them, and they're stuck in the mall as monsters. That's all I got for this.
I don't know. Yeah. No, we didn't get Grandma Chainsaw in our digital copies.
No, because that book is not actually out through SourcePoint yet. Yes, so SourcePoint picked it up, but it's not out yet. That's why. But if y'all ever want to read it, I got digitals of pretty much everything they've done. So,
all right, we only have 10 minutes, so we got to keep moving.
Okay,
the roadie. This continues the story. We're going towards the 4th issue. We get a little more backstory on Joe and his daughter, who may not be his daughter, but we see her mom, and it's continuing the story. I mean, if you like the first 2 issues, this is the penultimate issue. It's continuing the story. There was nothing spectacular in it. There was nothing bad in it. It's just the 3rd issue of the story, if that makes sense. You know? So if you like what you got in the first 2, it's continuing.
Yep. I don't have too much to say on this one either. It's better than the second one, but not as good as the first. We're going somewhere, just not getting there fast enough to me.
LA. We're going to LA.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping whatever is going to happen, it starts happening now.
It has to. There's 1 issue left.
Man, I hope so. Honestly, geez, they're going to save everything for the last issue, I guess.
Yep.
All right, out next week, but I'm hoping they'll talk about it this week, so I don't have to read it for next week. Blade Runner.
Oh, see, the Titan sent it to me saying this week. Okay.
It may be out this week, and my list may be wrong. I'm just saying.
If you like the Blade Runner movie, the more recent one with Ryan Gosling, this is continuing that kind of era. It's every one of the Blade Runner books I've read so far seems to be a little overly complicated. Like they really aren't treating you like you could be a new reader. It feels like they expect you to know a lot going in. And even though they give you that little Kyle blurb in the front, it doesn't really help much. So again, I think this is for people who love this universe and already have a knowledge, but it's hard to come in fresh on it, I think. So,
yep. Not a bad story, but I'm pretty sure that if I knew anything other than Harrison Ford was in this movie, I'd probably appreciate it more.
And Rutger Hauer.
Yeah, Rutger Hauer, love him. I'd read issue 2 if we get it in. Like it wasn't terrible. It's just things I didn't get.
Yeah.
All right. Last up. Damn Them All #2.
It took me a good 10 pages before I realized that we had what the first book. Remember the first book? Again, I had a Kyle moment on this one.
I have vivid memory of the first one, so I'm excited to read the second one.
Yeah, someone should have went, yeah, this is the female Constantine book. Oh, right. Yeah. It really does feel like they're doing Hellblazer. You know, and in both a good and bad way. And then Simon Spurrier, I believe, wrote Hellblazer for a while. So maybe he's using leftover stories. I don't know. But it's entertaining. This is a weird little universe he's building. The setup is interesting. And it is very British. I mean, very British.
Yeah.
So if you're not an Anglophile, you might be a little lost at a couple points. You might need to look something up. But it continues that Constantine feel that we got in the first one. And there's a guy wearing no pants for apparently no reason. But he's just running around in his underwear and a t-shirt. And we don't have a reason for it. Yeah. But he does it through the entire time he's in the book. So
I liked it. I thought it was interesting. This one was a little bit slow to me, though. Even at 26 pages, it kind of felt like it took me forever to finish it. It was still good, though. But the one big note I have is it really does feel like somebody wanted this to be a Constantine arc, and it got rejected. So they just changed the name of it and swapped characters around. Uh, Other than that, uh, I like I said, I liked it. I think the first one was better, but this one was still good.
All right. Well, that's all the books this week. Dan, I have a question.
Yes.
Do you know from our friends at Titan, will we be getting the new series of Doctor Who?
I don't. They hadn't been sending us stuff for a long time, and suddenly they started. But I can reach out to their guy and see if we are, because this is actually going to be canon and tie into the current story.
Correct. And if I'm restarting my poorly timed out, ill-fated, ill-thought out rewatch of Doctor Who, which stalled, so that I can get caught up by the time. I obviously won't be caught up by the Christmas special, but by the time the new series launches, I should be caught up.
Oh yeah, well you got a year. There's going to be specials, but
that's what I'm saying. Like, it's going to take me a while.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still. How do I put this? I'm still very early David Tennant, so I've got a lot of Doctor Who to get through.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for that. All right. In the meantime, as always, this show is sponsored by, and we want to remind you about Comic Shop Locator. Head over to comicshoplocator.com and type in the zip code where you are or where you will be, and it will tell you where comic shops are nearby to there. There are a great many. Well, I was going to say there are a great many friends and colleagues coming into town this weekend for GalaxyCon Columbus, which is 2.5 hours from me. But it's one of the bigger. Well, it's a new show, but it's a bigger local show. And they're asking me, where should I go for comic books? And I'm like, well, I know the answers, but use Comic Shop Locator to tell you where all the comic shops are. And then just make sure you stop by the Laughing Ogre and Pack Rat Comics and then they do. So that's a great reason to use Comic Shop Locator, especially during this holiday season when you find yourself in places you might not have been looking for comic books before. Comic Shop Locator tells you where the comic shops are so that you can escape your family in these precious family moments. I'm not sure that's the ad read they want.
Right.
But it's the ad read they're going to get.
Now, don't run away, guys. Remember, we have a new show debuting in just a half hour called Country Road
30
Comics.
minutes.
In 30 minutes, they're going to have $1 start auctions. That means that the bidding starts at $1. And they're going to have mystery packs for $10. So it's a new show. You guys want to give it a check it out. But it's Country Road Comics. It starts in just 30 minutes. So go get yourself a snack and a drink and come back and watch the new show.
All right, absolutely. Ed, that's a question. Just shoot a DM to the experience or to whoever, and we can answer that a little bit easier offline. All right, Chris is already logged in for his technical check for the Country Road show. So we're going to head over there. Jay and I are going to be working on that. And we will see everybody next week on In Stores this week. Remember, new time, 6 o'clock Eastern next week.